Breaking news tweeted by our guy Chris Haynes right here on the set. DeAndre Hunter headed to the Cleveland Cavaliers. You told us this in our pre-show meeting, Chris. So do you have more details on this move of DeAndre Hunter to the Cleveland Cavaliers, a team with the best record in the NBA, first team to 40 wins on the season? Looks like Caris, LeVert, George Niang, 3 second-round picks and pick swaps.
Yeah, listen, Cleveland has been very, very aggressive in trying to make this move. Now, I heard about this being a potential deal probably, want to say, maybe a week ago, but I didn't think it had any legs. I didn't think Cleveland had what it took to get
DeAndre Hunter.
DeAndre. But listen, when you think about that front court now, the versatility they have on the defensive end in particular, that is a robust lineup. And now when you say Boston Celtics trying to contend for another title, Cleveland Cavaliers, I've talked to multiple players in that locker room, they do not fear the Boston Celtics. If that was the case before, that definitely has to be the case now. So props to Kobe Altman over there, general manager for Cleveland Cavaliers, pulling this off.
Well, kudos to them already what they've accomplished this season, Channing. You were on arguably the best team in that franchise's history, right? And then you look at what they're doing, the benchmarks they're reaching past what you guys were able to do. How does this make them even better as a championship contending team?
You look at, anytime they want to win a chip, they got to go get a really good player at the break, right? Trade deadline. That was me.
Hey, man, take your hand and pat yourself on the back.
To me, I thought they were going to have to give up a guy, Max Strus, Ty Jerome, Dean Wade. This, you can essentially play Donovan Mitchell, Dean Wade, DeAndre Hunter, Evan Mobley, Ty Jerome, and switch 1 through 5. Like, they have proficient players. Their depth is so ridiculously amazing now in size and length. I said the one thing they really needed was a true 3-and-D guy who is not afraid of shooting that corner three and to be able to take a little pressure off of Okoro. If you could bring Okoro in the game and say, hey, go make sure he doesn't breathe, he's going to do that. But in the playoffs, he has generally not been comfortable shooting that three, where DeAndre Hunter is more than capable of shooting that three ball and making sure. Now you have 2-3 guys when you want to match up with OKC, with, Boston, New York, there you go. Yeah, go get him and switch. Yeah. Oh, now you got Evan Mobley. Now you got Donovan Mitchell. Now you got Dean Wade. Now you got it's endless. And I think it is amazing that these teams who have built slowly are getting these opportunities. And I appreciate it because you bring in guys that fit into that Cavs culture. And so I'm just hyped for the Cavs right now.
All right, when I look at this, I go, okay, how does this team afford all of these players now?
Well, DeAndre Hunter's under contract for a number of more years at a good number. He makes a little bit over $20 million a year. He has 2 years left on his deal after this year. Keep in mind, Chris, they offset some of that outgoing money because George Niang had money that carried forward to Caris. LeVert is on an expiring contract. But I agree with what these guys said. To me, what Kobe Altman and Mike Gansey and company have done in Cleveland, they should be the executives of the year. Kobe should win the award. They have the best team in the league. And in a non-destination market, they've just made move after move after move that have worked out. Their biggest weakness was on the wing with 2 small guards in the backcourt who were excellent in Garland and Mitchell, and then 2 big men in the front court who were also excellent in Mobley and Allen. I thought there was a pretty significant hole that may make them come up short in the playoffs as a legitimate championship contender. And now they filled that hole with one of the better young two-way wings in the league in DeAndre Hunter.
Cleveland is popping. No way destination. People love going to Cleveland.
Hey, I just love how you mentioned West Virginia University Mountaineer Mike Gansey in the house because what he did with that program way back when playing under John Beilein. Chris, when I look at this, and you told us that this could possibly happen earlier today, I was like, okay, Max Channing.
Yeah.
Are you trying to be like Chris Haynes?
Yeah. Hey, tweet.
I'm on the set with some teenagers over here.
Hey, so
we on here.
So he's putting out business. You're just like Cavs.
Chris is breaking news. He's putting 7 exclamation points. So I'll let you figure out who's working harder over here.
You are the Magic Johnson of this group. Just like the tweet.
Hey, dude, I'm pumped, man.
Oh, man.
But yeah, so explain to us even further, like why the exuberance and the giddiness from you on this particular trade.
Well, one, he's a proven player in the NBA, right? And number two, you know what he is. And so on this team, Evan Mobley's been balling, right? Jared Allen's been balling. Garland, they're having great breakout years. And to add a guy who I think at times got his opportunity, but just always was dealing with kind of like wasn't actually empowered. I think Kenny Atkinson is going to empower him and say, look what I've done for everyone else. Look what this team is. And the Cavs know that they need that position to be great and to be confident to win against these other teams. Because when you got to go against OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, you got to go out there with confidence knowing that your team believes in you. And it also allows the bench to know their roles and to say, hey, I know that when I come in, this is my job. And if everybody knows how to do their job, then you don't have what ifs. There's no what ifs for the Cavs anymore. And that's what's been amazing.
So, Ryan, when I look at how this season has started for them, where they are in the Eastern Conference standings, I do see it like, okay, lost to the Boston Celtics, lost to the Thunder. Like, their losses, in a couple of losses to the Atlanta Hawks, which is in its own zone in itself, right? But you do see the motivation of like, yes, we're really good. Yes, we're close. Let's get a little bit better.
Right, and they're a uniquely constructed team, especially prior to the deal, with the small backcourt, the big front court. Channing did a great job of breaking down the contending teams, especially in the East. They have a number of versatile wings. I mean, Boston has guy after guy, including two superstars, as did the New York Knicks. So DeAndre Hunter can match up with those guys. He can hold his own. And frankly, I didn't think the Cavs would be able to pull off a deal like this without trading one of their top four players. That's what's really brilliant about it for me, from Cleveland's perspective, to bring in DeAndre Hunter, but keep those two-star guards and the two-star big men in the front court. I think it's brilliant work by their front office.
But see, I hear that and I think, oh, yeah, those guys, but also what about Max Strus? So, you know, there are other guys that I thought they would have to part ways with when Chris brought this up earlier. And it just seems like wizardry that they didn't have to do that.
They held on to Max Strus, as you mentioned. They held on to Ty Jerome,
yes,
which has been a revelation in the backcourt. Excellent third guard playing, you know, with Garland, with Mitchell, or playing off those guys. He's been outstanding. So that's what I really like about it. And keep in mind, Cleveland was a little bit limited as far as their assets. They still owe a lot going back to the Utah Jazz, or now going to different teams, including the Phoenix Suns, but for what they sent out with the Donovan Mitchell deal to bring Donovan in from Utah. So I'm surprised that they were able to get DeAndre Hunter for this price. I think the reason for that, Chris, to be honest, is Atlanta seemingly had some concerns about Hunter's health. We know he's a good player when healthy, but he has been injured a lot. He is making $20+ million a year over the next couple of years. So I think that was the motivation from the Hawks' perspective. But let me say this. Atlanta needs to be careful. Keep in mind, they still owe unprotected firsts and or unprotected swaps to San Antonio over the next 3 years. Ooh. So can you imagine a situation in which Atlanta's in the lottery, the balls bounce their way, they're up to number one, but they say, hey, San Antonio, you got De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama, here's Cooper Flagg as well. If you're Atlanta, you got to be careful. There is an element of self-preservation. You got to do everything you can to be competitive over the last third of the season. Make sure that doesn't happen.
That was actually my next question to you, because the Atlanta Hawks have lost 9 of their last 10. The only win that they have in that stretch was Onyeka Okongwu, waxing poetically the opposite of your tweet on this particular situation here, Channing. Define heartbreak.
The Hawks were absolutely amazing. I think Jalen Johnson is one of the best young up-and-coming guys, and that belief in this culture, the Hawks culture, they were great to watch this year. I thought, and this is neither here nor there, Trae Young should have been an all-star. I'm not saying take anybody off, but
yeah,
Trae
he
Young
should have been an all-star.
Should have been an all-star. And this team has an identity. They were committed to the defensive end. They were playing great. Obviously, Dyson Daniels. All these dudes are playing committed Hawks basketball, and 1 or 2 injuries happen, and now upper management has to make tough decisions and bring in certain guys and do certain things. It's the business of basketball, but it shows you their chemistry, which is always like, well, do they like playing with each other? And what is this? And who's in the trade rumors, like Clint Capella, these guys. But it shows you that these guys actually appreciated each other and liked each other in their journey of going from probably a mid-team to now an exciting team that has a really great future. And I think the Hawks, even without him, have a really great future ahead of them.
Yeah, certainly. You had something to say there?
Yeah, this is what I can say. I'm a pivot to Trae Young. That guy is a fierce competitor. He wants to win. I'm just saying he wants to win. So the direction of the Hawks is very, I would say, very unique, considering They know where he stands and what he wants to accomplish. I will say this. Before the San Antonio Spurs made the move for De'Aaron Fox, they were considering De'Aaron and they were considering Trae Young. But with the way that the Spurs are set up right now, they're not set up to start trying to win games and contend now. So there was never really a hurry to bring in an established point guard to move on to the next phase. But De'Aaron Fox kind of fell in their lap, and he picked them as the sole team that he wanted to play with. So they chose him. It was a much easier lift, an easier route to get De'Aaron. But Trae Young was on the San Antonio Spurs radar. So with that being said, I would be very interested to see how the summer plays out. You know, if things continue to go this way as far as these losses continue to compile.
So to make sure, I know our producer wants us to go to break right now, but you just dropped a bomb on us, right? So here's the deal. From what Chris is saying, and he's saying that not necessarily now, but potentially by the summer, Trae Young could be on the market. What do you make of that potential?
I agree with Chris. Trae Young is extension eligible this summer, and he is going to have a decent amount of control over the situation because next season is the last guaranteed year on his contract. He makes $46 million. The year after that, the 2026 offseason, he has a player option for $49 million. That is a big number, and the salary has been the main reason that teams have shied away from the Trae Young market in terms of trades. But the Hawks, again, they have to be careful because the thing you can't do is in a rebuilding situation lose a lot of games, your stars get disgruntled. If you're in the bottom of the standings, but you control your own picks, at least you have the draft pick to say, well, we're going to build around this guy, a top 5 pick. Atlanta doesn't have that over the next 3 years. They need to be careful and walk this tightrope, which is going to be even more difficult now with Jalen Johnson out for the year and without DeAndre Hunter.